Hello, welcome to another episode of the Waffle Press TV Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. The show started on time today. That's cool and makes me happy.
Yes.
And with me today, of course, is my co-host, as always, Emily Sophia. How are you doing today?
I am doing pretty delightfully. I have had a couple beers. I have watched a new TV show, so I feel primed and ready to go.
I have not had any beers because I am on my way to see Warcraft after this.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just
Gotta be sober for that.
maybe not. I don't know. I've heard maybe I shouldn't be. Uh, so I'm gonna have a review of that up tomorrow, along with this, along with a written version at audienceseverywhere.net. One just a quick little spoilery thing on here, and I'm just hoping not to get hurt. I'm a big Warcraft fan, so I'm kind of bracing myself more than anticipating by this point, but we'll see how it goes.
That's tough. I started to let myself get kind of excited about the trailers. Like I kept going to see different movies and I'd be with different friends and everybody's like, I'm feeling really good about this. And everybody kind of like there was this consensus of positivity. And now I don't know what the hell is happening.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
was.
you luck.
Thank you. Yeah, if we just mention that really quickly, I was pretty excited. I was like, Duncan Jones, the guy who did Moon and Source Code, this is going to be awesome. The son of David Bowie. David Bowie apparently saw it before he passed away. He saw a nearly finished cut or a finished cut of the movie and
Oh my gosh.
apparently liked it. So, look, if it's good enough for David Bowie, it's got to be good enough for me.
Yeah, come
So,
on. Y'all gotta lighten up.
yeah. Yeah, I'm tempering expectations and just hope it.
It's making money
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Thank you,
Making
China.
big money.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any video game that deserves to be adapted into a movie franchise, it's Warcraft for me. But
That makes sense.
yeah, that's movie talk. We are TV hangout talk. Uh,
Yes.
I haven't seen Preacher yet because I'm a bad person, but Emily has, and she has some thoughts on the second episode of the series.
Yes, indeed. So, if any of you guys saw the first episode of Preacher, I will tell you that for me personally, the second episode was even better. It took some of the major themes that were encapsulated in the premiere and really expanded on them in a slightly more focused way. Because what's interesting about the premiere is it jumps around a lot. Mostly in terms of geography, actually. It takes place at like, I don't know, 5 different locations around the world, so it may sound a little bit daunting, but pretty much the majority of the second episode is focused in the small town of Annville, Texas. Um, and we get to spend a lot of time with what I have now affectionately nicknamed the Unholy Trinity, because we have the preacher, we have his ex-lover sort of figure, Tulip, and we have a guy named Cassidy, who I won't say too much about, but there is some bloody, brutal violence. There are some uncanny discoveries. There are some mysterious flashbacks. It covers a lot of ground, and there's still a lot of mystery as to like what the actual crap is going on. And I think that there's probably a lot of Easter eggs for the comic book readers thus far. But from what I understand, we are getting to a point soon where we are going to know exactly what our 3 major characters all have to do with each other and why they're all together and what is happening to the preacher. Because the preacher has recently sort of had a revelation of sorts, and it is one that has transformed his life permanently, for better or for worse, and it causes a lot of violence and mayhem and bedlam generally in the first and second episodes. So really super solid stuff so far, and I am super enjoying it at this point. So I don't want to say too much because, I highly recommend that you check it out, even without having read the comics. I feel like it's exciting to have a show where I don't fully know what's happening yet. Like, I feel like there's a lot of shows that just kind of want to hold your hand and walk you down all the way, because it's like, you know, people don't have a long enough attention span to deal with a show that makes you think and wonder and question. And Preacher is kind of a show that has you doing that to some extent, whether that's just kind of the way that the story is represented or just kind of whatever it may be. I really like it because it kind of challenges you to really focus in, pay attention to the details because it matters. There's a super awesome score. It's a very pretty show. It has some very ugly bits in terms of grotesquerie, but it's very beautiful, and I like it. So I could talk all day, but I won't. That's my breakdown.
I don't know if he's shooting the entire show. I think that's got to be a lot of work for one cinematographer, but Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen's go-to cinematographer is a man named Nicholas Trost, I think.
Okay.
I know his last name is Trost, and he is great, underrated cinematographer. He shot Neighbors 2, which is one of the best-looking comedies ever. And also very good. So watch that movie. It's the woke. It's like the most woke comedy you'll ever watch. But no, he's a very talented cinematographer. So that's really cool to see his work translates well to TV. Because y'all know some TV shows they don't look that exciting. You know, not everything can look like Hannibal or Dexter. So that's cool to hear.
It has kind of the feel of like a very stylish, gritty Western. You know, that's kind of the way that I see it thus far, based on the setting, and then based on kind of the way that there's a flashback actually that's very much like pure Western, and it opens up like the first 10 minutes of the episode, and it's really cool. So yeah, I definitely look forward to you checking it out so we can bounce our thoughts off each other, but I like it so far.
All right, and it's Brandon Trost.
Brandon
messed
Trost.
up on it. Brandon Trost, yeah. So that wraps up Emily's thoughts on Preacher, and you also started watching another show that I heartily recommended on this channel.
Yes. See, we do listen to each other. We do take each other's recommendations. I watched the premiere of iZombie, and I am just very much infatuated. Like from the beginning, it has this lightheartedness mixed with the macabre and the dark, and it's really interesting to see how the character of Liv Moore is really humanized from the get-go, even with what transpires with her being undead and all. I mean, for as cliche as this may sound, she's very relatable in the state that she is in, even with consuming brains and the like. Just kind of with all of the inner monologuing and stuff takes me back to like Dexter and things of that nature, where it's like I am different from the world, and here is what I see, and here is what I feel, and here is why I can't connect with other people the way I used to. And it's just very like, yes, that stuff resonates with me a lot. I love her partner at the morgue. He is just so par for the course and like down for whatever, and is very excited to discover who she is and what he might actually be able to do for her in terms of finding a cure or something. But there's this air of hope that kind of underlies everything, you know, the fact that she is not, I mean, she's dead, but she's in the land of the living, and so that in and of itself forces her to kind of find a reason for living, and she wants to find a way to be able to help the people around her, since she's not going to be a world famous heart surgeon. And it's just so, I don't know why, but it's just so cute to me so far. I know it's probably going to become so much more, but I'm like, oh, I don't know why. It just makes me very happy. So I am very glad that you have subliminally and not so subliminally gotten this show into my brain, because I love it already.
I am
great.
so happy to hear that, because, yeah, you know I like it a lot. And the show, I think, only gets better from there. Both season finales will rock you, rock your world. And I'm very happy you mentioned Ravi, because Ravi is hilarious, and that guy is freaking hysterical to follow on Twitter. I love him. He wants to be in Star Wars real bad. You get that from like
Oh,
the first day you follow him, everything's over. So
yes.
that's cool. That's cool. And
That's so great.
yeah, like right from the get go when he's like, "So how long have you been a zombie?" Like it's just so funny to see a character
Yeah.
that's just so willing to go along with it. You know, they don't need to like, will they, won't they work together or anything like that.
Just
And
immediately
yeah,
best friend.
yep, that is it's so good. It's so good.
And it's interesting because I think that probably part of why I ended up deciding to start this show, of all the shows that are on my queue, is because I saw this roundtable discussion / interview with that actor, and he was just so charming and fun, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, and he's an iZombie, that's really great. And then so I think that was just sort of embedded in my subconscious, and then when I was sitting down looking at Netflix, I was like, okay, come on. This is a foregone conclusion. You got to do it. So I did, and now my world has been expanded.
I'm really interested to see how you react to the rest of the series because the
Yes.
pilot is a good pilot.
Oh yeah, for
How
sure.
the show weaves in these different narratives and
Mm-hmm.
how it escalates. It's a very gradual escalation to where
Sure.
it goes eventually,
Mm-hmm.
and how they utilize the brains. And you get to
Yeah.
see how the actress's name I forget, but Liv Moore, the actress who plays her, is
Mm-hmm.
very talented. Even if I can't remember her name,
Yes.
because Dollhouse tried to do a similar thing where Eliza Dushku, good actress, maybe not the best chameleon though, and
Mm.
so she couldn't weave in and out of these differing characters every episode. Like she was
Oh,
always
okay.
her character pretending, but it was obvious that she was pretending
Yeah.
to become these different personas, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the actress who plays Liv Moore totally,
Goes for it.
yeah, like they throw some
Yeah.
weird stuff at her, man, and
I
she just
bet.
rolls with it. So yeah, that'll
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see how you react to that stuff.
Yeah, because even just seeing in the first episode with like her klepto tendencies coming out, because like it kind of caught me off guard at first, just sort of like she's in the police precinct randomly taking shit off this guy's desk, and it's like, oh, I see what's going on. Okay, this is going to inevitably escalate and manifest itself in interesting ways. So I think it's an incredibly cool premise for a show, and I guess I'm sort of in a mood of like comic book TV adaptations anyway with Breachers. So I guess I'm just into that right now, but it's really good so far.
Yes, I am so happy to hear that. And on to our final topic of the day, Game of Thrones, Season 6, Episode 7. Also, really quick, we'll be talking about some news for the upcoming episodes, and one of the titles is clearly indicating what's going to happen in the
Okay.
episodes.
You can lay it on me if you want. Like I said, I won't be mad.
Okay, yeah, but right now we're going to talk about Episode 7, The Broken Man.
Yes.
And this is another nice, not entirely calm before the storm, but soothing before the storm. Like a nice little piecemeal where we can get comfortable for the hell shit storm to come, because I'm pretty sure that these next 3 episodes are going to be bloodbaths, or at least 2 of
Oh.
them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we get the return of another fan favorite, the Hound. I say fan favorite because I've literally never heard anybody say they don't like the Hound as a character, ever. If you don't like the Hound, that's okay. I just haven't heard you say it. And
They're too afraid to say it. That's the thing.
I think so. Then
You don't want to let that out into the open.
yeah, like he'd eat all their chickens or something, you know. I had assumed this character was alive from the books. I think a lot of book readers kind of assumed that too, but it was never clear, and it could have been misdirection for whatever reason. So when the episode has that cold open with him, I was like, "Oh boy, what's gonna happen?" And then they reveal him, and I clapped. I was like, "Yeah!" Like, God, that's why the season's so good too. They let you like have these little victories. They let you feel good. You know, they
Yep.
give as much as they take, and that's a good push pull to keep the narrative flowing, keep the audience attention going, and nobody feels like really shitty after something bad happens. You know, I mean, you get
Yeah.
sad, but you don't feel like He just got beaten down for no reason. So I think that's an important thing too.
Yeah.
What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I was a fan because for some reason I thought like maybe things are gonna escalate this episode, maybe things are gonna get totally crazy, and they didn't get completely crazy. There were some big character moments and big things that people have been talking about all over the internet, and understandably so. But this was, I think that it was a good logical conclusion to a lot of the plot threads that we entered last week. So of course there is the Hound and getting to see his alternate life, the comeback that he didn't expect to make was very cool. And it was really fun to see him play off of Ian McShane's character and how they sort of have this friendship and they kind of talk about things. And well, unfortunately that doesn't get too far, but it's cool to see Ian McShane on the screen right now because he's going to be in American Gods, and now that I am continuing to read that novel, I know this is an aside and I will return to Game of Thrones, I can now like picture him as the character, and it's pretty great. Anyway, the Hound is back, and now he has an axe, and somebody's going to die. I don't know where exactly he's headed. I assume to try to find the Brotherhood guys who showed up, or, you know, like he's just going to go juggernaut on anybody who gets on his way. But yeah, it's really cool to have him back and to see how he was sort of trying to reestablish himself, and he couldn't quite fit into this little community that he was with, but he was still with them, you know, like chopping wood and doing manual labor, probably to distract himself from the fact that he didn't die, and that might have been a desirable option for him. And yet there he is, so it really sucks, but there's a lot of cool moments with him and getting to see kind of how these other little communities live, these little villages, these little groups, how they're kind of just trying to live in this self-sustaining way, but the violence comes for them as well, which I think is kind of indicative of the violence that's going to come for everybody in the end, so that just sucks. There's very little happiness to be had, but pretty cool stuff. Now, the thing that's been racking my brain this week is everything that's going on with Arya. Because have you read some of those insane theories that people have about what actually happened with the Stabby McStabberson episode?
Yeah, some of them are really out there. Not like Varys as a merman theory, which is real, by the way.
Wow,
yeah.
Now that's a new one to me.
Look, I feel like Game of Thrones could do anything after the complete turnaround in quality of the season. So
yeah,
but no,
they want.
Yeah, the Arya stuff. Some of them are real out there. I don't know. I mean, real quick, I got some thoughts on that because in the moment, and I mean the show. I think this is a really solid episode too. And I think that the story plays out really well. And in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to kill Arya. And then like my brain turns on again. I'm like, oh, well, no, they're not, because then her story is for nothing. Unless like they just had no ending for her story and they cut it off here. But then that's going to be real disappointing. Even if they have like a perfect end game. It's like, well, you followed Arya for 6.5 seasons or 5.5 seasons and then didn't do anything with her. So
yeah.
So like as soon as the episode ended, I was like, oh yeah, no, she's not going to die. She's going to stumble across like Jorah or something like that. Like that's what I think is gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
But did you hear the one about Arya and she had swapped her face with someone else?
Yes, I read one where like oh gosh, I can't even keep it straight now because some of them were so twisted to the point where it's like I would be shocked if they pulled that because it would be very tough for the audience to follow. But yeah, I heard the thing where it's like she swapped her face and it was like she is actually the waif and she is still training and she is so far deep in that like this whole every time we've seen Arya, it's been like a complete lie. And I'm like, I don't know if I can buy that. There's the idea that the waif was actually, I forget his name, but the It starts with a J. It's the guy who's been around. You know, the one. I never
Jorah? No.
I never say it enough to the point where I feel comfortable. Like, I know who the character is, but you know, the guy in the House of Black and White who's been training Arya and met her way back in the day.
Jaqen H'ghar.
Jaqen. Okay. I was scared to say it. Thank you.
No
But yeah, I've heard the theory where he is actually the waif or something, and like I've heard everything under the sun. It's I don't know what to believe, but I think they could do anything they want at this point, because all of them faces, you know,
Mhm.
it can get a little fucky if they want it to.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the theories are kind of out there, but really, I think, if they pull them off with the
Why
face
not?
swapping stuff, it's plausible enough. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what to make of it right now, other than it's good,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
just have no idea how to predict what's going to happen next. I think someone had a
Mhm.
Fight Club theory where Arya
Hmm.
and the waif are the same person, and
Yes, I heard about that one too.
the waif is like her
Yeah.
Tyler Durden. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
somehow maybe.
Because people were talking about the characteristics of the waif and of Arya in that last episode, how it's like she's not acting like herself, you know, like she's so confident when she goes up to the man and tosses down her bags of coins, and then she's just staring out at the Titan of Bravos and gets stabbed. It's like, how could that be an accident? But then, of course, this is Game of Thrones. Accidents happen all the time, okay? So it's been really interesting. And when I watched the scene, I just kind of took it at face value, because I don't know about you, but that's really the only way I can really watch and process the episodes. And then I can start to look back and be like, oh, okay, all you Redditors who are enlightening me on what really happened. But, you know, I was willing to believe that Arya herself had been mortally wounded, and that could totally not be the case. But it definitely seems like we're leading up to something really weird, and I'm ready for it at this point. But also, we got to see that stuff with Marjorie is not all as it seems as well, which was kind of in line with what I was guessing, because you know she slips the little rose sigil to Elena, and you know, she's still got herself up there, I think, and she's trying to work the system too. And then there was the whole freaking scene with the High Sparrow and the like, oh, you haven't been to King Tommen's bed. Why aren't you fulfilling your duties? And I'm like, wait a second. Okay, there's something going on. So what do you think about that?
I love it because they didn't just brainwash Marjorie, and I think that would have been an easy out to make it like a really shittier situation in King's Landing. Like that place is going to hell. I mean, that place been going to hell since like the end of season 1. So
Yeah.
I think this is like the lowest of the low point, because now even the villains from season 1 have been usurped by other villains there specifically.
Yeah.
So I have very happy feelings about that. I would like to see Loras, because we kind of just like left him somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, I feel like he is central to whatever it is that Marjorie's doing, you know? Like, I still think back to that one scene. It's like we saw him, and that's gotta mean something. Again, that's what's cool about this stage in the game, is that everything we see has to mean something, and it's not just a random thread that's going to, you know, shoot off into the distance. Like, they can't really afford to do that at this point. So if you want to metagame it, then everything has meaning, and it will all connect, I think.
Yeah, and this season's gotten really good at keeping the central players like really involved and interesting again. And I love the Tyrells. Even her grandma is the best, by the
Oh,
way.
hands down.
Lady Elena. Yeah, she's awesome. And her
she
husband.
burned Cersei big time this week.
Oh yeah. Oh, not her
Yeah.
husband. Her son. Yeah,
Yeah.
her son. Even though he's like an oaf, he's like a lovable oaf. He's not like
Mhm.
an asshole. Like I love King Robert, but that guy was kind of a dick.
Yeah,
So,
let's be
you
honest.
know, yeah. But I just think it'd be really funny, like if Olenna wasn't that smart, like if she was like as much an oaf as her son, and she's not at all, but if she was, and Marjorie is like, like I gotta like where she gives her that little note and it's like, no, I have to remain loyal to the crown or whatever, the High Sparrow religion, and and she gives her the note, and then later she goes to like her dorm, and then she just sees that she drew the rose, and she's like, God, she's fucking crazy now. I gotta go. There's no hope anymore.
She's just like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, she's like, oh
That would be
Jesus,
great.
we're fucked. But no, like, she's
Yeah.
smart enough to have gotten the clue. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that stuff is all going to go down next week, and she
Oh
didn't
yeah.
let Cersei in on it, which I think is a good move because the Lannisters they're done after
Oh,
this.
they are going down in flames at this point. And anything they do to the contrary is pure denial, which is very sad to think about, but then not so sad because we think of the days where it was very easy to hate the Lannisters, and now I'm not so sure, but it continues to be like, no, you guys are not, you're not part of the grander scheme. Speaking of a Lannister, we got to see Jaime meet the Blackfish, and the Blackfish kind of roasted him too. So they are getting roasted everywhere across Westeros, which I don't mind. I like the Blackfish. He's kind of a badass. What did you think of all the stuff there?
Yeah, the season 3 threads are all coming back in a big way. I think that's the only like not even problem, but it's what I worry about other casual viewers of the show might have. We're like,
Sure.
who are these people?
Like
It's well,
forgetting.
yeah, they were there before, but it's been 4 years or 3 years, 3 seasons since they've seen them. So I can understand them being like, who dat? Like when they brought out Edmund Tully last week, like I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot.
I know. There are some things that totally slipped my mind too, and it's like I'm trying to just pick up on the context clues and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Like it's all good, it's all fresh." And it's totally not, but I think that they're doing a pretty decent job of weaving those things back in. And now it's like we're kind of hopping back to the Red Wedding era of like, the politics that were happening there. So if you can overcome your PTSD of that time to like remember all the different things that were taking place, it's kind of interesting how this episode also explored the ideas of like what it means to stand for the Starks or what the Starks mean to other houses in the North. To kind of switch gears, I guess, like going to what was happening with Jon and Sansa and Davos as they're going and trying to amass an army to face the Boltons. And Lyanna Mormont is freaking awesome. Love that chick. She is great. But then we also have, I forget what the name of that other house was, but they got her hard-fought support, but they went to one of the other houses, and the guy was like, where were the Starks when the Greyjoys raided our house? And it's interesting to be reminded of the fact that even though everybody is like, Stark, 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 like, that's not everybody, and it's going to kind of complicate their road to success. But then you're also thinking in the back of your mind, like, if you don't stand by the Starks at this point, you're going to get steamrolled by the undead. So it's kind of interesting to see how petty a lot of these feuds are, but then also there's a lot of disturbing stuff and very valid reasons why people would be hesitant to simply blindly throw their hat in the ring with the Starks, and it's kind of cool to see how the victory is going to be a hard fought win for them. It's not set in stone. It's not given. But then there's also the question of who Sansa wrote to, who she's sending a raven to. I think it's either going to be Littlefinger or it's going to be Robin, I think. I don't know who else it would be, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think that was Littlefinger. You know,
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Littlefinger. That's who my money's on right there.
That would be a good way to bring him back in. Probably potentially a bad way to bring him back in, but
like I think they're gonna start wrapping up all the main Westerosi political conflicts, not the religious stuff. I think that's gonna bleed over to next season.
Yeah.
But they're gonna keep that stuff all in play, and for the most part, I think this is my theory. The next season it's gonna be them having to get all these other communities and kingdoms working together to stop the White Walkers. Otherwise, fuck.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and then I think Littlefinger is going to be one of the sub-villains in the end game because he's going to be still interested in the political side. He's like, all right, we'll fight the White Walkers, but I want like everything still. So I think that'll be interesting to play out. And yes, Lyanna Mormont is the best. If she was one of the main characters of the show last season, there wouldn't have been no problems whatsoever. That would have
could
just
she
been,
and Arya just be best friends? Like, could there just be a show about the two of them, like,
I want to see that.
destroying the universe? Because I'd be down for that.
And then that picture that just made like waves all over the internet, where she's just like,
talk to the hand.
Oh, yeah,
beautiful. Of all the memes to make it in the meme market this week, that one was that's choice.
That's better than
100% organic.
Yeah, that boy's got nothing on this.
No. Nope, nothing on Lyanna.
Yeah, let's see what else. Final thoughts. I guess the one issue I have is that as good as everything was, and the themes you mentioned were prevalent, the only one I don't see tying into it at all that much is the Hound story.
Right.
Which has it's a good standalone little. It could have been like a little short film. They could have released it between seasons, and everyone would have been hyped up.
It's like, oh, by the way, here's the Hound.
Yeah, it was good material. It just didn't connect to everything else this episode, and that's okay. That's all right. It's just a minor, negative. I guess. If it's not even negative because the material is good, but I just wish it had tied in better with that. And of course, I didn't talk about Ian McShane, but you did. You spoke about him enough. It's Ian McShane. He's awesome. If you only have him time for one episode, give him some speeches. Because for those who haven't seen Deadwood, watch him in Deadwood. The speeches and delivery and the cursing this man can do. Oh my God.
Love it.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't think he ever won an Emmy for that. But he should have won like 30, and the show was only on for like 3 years. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah, he deserved like all the praise.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on the episode before we move on to some quick news about Game of Thrones?
Oh yes, yeah. I think we kind of touched on all the major. Oh, I completely forgot about the Greyjoys. So Yara and Theon are chilling. Last time we saw, Theon is still totally traumatized, and Yara's having the time of her life. So it's interesting to see where those two are at, because we have quite a few characters. Like, I think of Theon, and then I think of a character like Sansa, who was, ironically enough, traumatized very deeply by the same person. But they're both kind of on different ends of the spectrum, where she's like pure revenge, like get this guy out. Theon is kind of, he's unsure of himself. He knows that he wants to support Yara, but he's not able to put himself out there like he did before. He's still really self-deprecating and very self-destructive, and so it was kind of heartwarming to see the two of them come together, even in a brothel where she's like forcing him to drink, and she's having a gay old time, and he's like, I can't do anything. But it just shows that, like, they have a really deep care for each other, to the point where Theon, like, she is kind of his reason for living, I think. That's sort of what I gather from the subtext of their story. But it's cool to see that they're going to Marine right now. That's going to be a thing that's going to happen. They're going to see Tyrion, I'm sure, and Varys, and we're finally going to get to go back there. Because that's been kind of my one major complaint, is that, like, Tyrion and Varys have just been completely off the map, which is so weird. but it makes sense because there's a lot that's happening on Westeros right now. But that is a thing I forgot about.
Yeah, no, I mean that was good material too. It's just I forgot about it also.
Yeah, it's very small. It's very small.
Mhm.
There were
It
bigger
was
pieces in play.
it was just that one scene also, huh? In the
Yeah.
brothel, yeah. And that was kind of fun because usually in the brothel scenes in Game of Thrones, there's just like it's ugly, you know. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
not because of the women, just the way like they're treated by like
Yeah.
really not nice people. And here, everyone's just having a good time. It looks like everyone's getting along. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
this is the future
happy
of
fun
Westeros,
times.
man. Yeah, you know, just that's the future Westeros right there.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm super surprised that they're gonna go to Marine because I would have totally have seen them joining up with Jon Snow, so he could
Right,
further
that's
redeem
what you would
himself.
think. Yeah. But they're going to try, it's like they're trying to get to Daenerys first before Euron can propose or whatever the fuck he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a shit show. I love it.
Oh, and that also pretty much confirms this little theory that my friend Josh I had mentioned and I have now about the character he's replaced from the book. So that'll be very interesting to see play out.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty
fingers
excited
crossed.
for that.
Yeah, you're on. He's got some interesting stuff coming.
Oh, I bet.
On that note, only quick little notes on this. Season 7 of Game of Thrones will be significantly shorter. I think 7 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And the last 3 episodes of the season next week is called No One. Episode 9, the big episode 9 is called Battle of the Bastards. Gee, I wonder what that episode's about.
It's about the bastards and they have a battle. Okay.
Yeah, wow. I wish all their titles like meant something. Because I mean, this week I guess the Broken Man relates to the Hound. Blood of My Blood relates to Khaleesi, Hodor, and then
yes.
I have no idea. I think they mentioned like one line.
I don't remember that. Yeah, no, there was something like super brief in the episode, but I don't know what it ties to now.
Yeah, so I mean, if anything, this season they've really gotten the titles to mean something in the episodes. That's how good it's gotten. They've gotten their titles to relate to the content in the episode. Oh, and the season finale is called The Winds of Winter. Some people were like, "Oh, they're throwing shade at George R. Martin." I'm like, no, they're just honoring the title of his book that's not out yet. Like, I don't think they're throwing shade. I just think it's a good title, so why not use it for the finale of the book it's supposedly based on? You know?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just some fun tidbits there. I am really looking forward to how this stuff plays out, and I don't think they've gotten season 8 yet. So season 7 might be, or no, they did get season 8. That's correct. I'm pretty sure.
So at least 2 seasons more.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get 2 more seasons of this, and if season 7 is shorter, then season 8's got to be like 6 episodes, right?
Yeah, I think it's possible that like between the 2 of them, it's gonna be like maybe even 12 or 13 episodes, which is super weird to think about, and I don't like it, but I feel like they're probably getting to the point where they're going to pour a lot more money and a lot more resources into each episode because of the types of battles and situations that they're setting up. It's like they're going to be making little movies, I think. So assuming that's the case, it makes sense that they would kind of keep some brevity, and I really want them to end on top, you know, like they could keep going as far and wide as they want to, but again, like they've already set from the beginning of the season that like the end game is in motion. So being that that's kind of the precedent for these seasons, I think I will be okay with it. There's been a lot of good stuff that's happened this season so far, so I have no reason to believe that they're going to completely screw the pooch. But I've been wrong before.
Yep.
I will keep my mind open. Hope for the best, expect the worst.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I'm greedy, I would much prefer if they just took like, or if they could pitch this to HBO and be like, all right, look, we're the most popular show you've ever had.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the most popular shows to ever exist. Why don't we just take all the budget for 2 potential seasons and crush it into one and make like one mega season of like a dozen or 13 episodes? I don't think that'll happen. Or I mean, that's not going to happen, but that's what I would prefer. So that way next year we just get like some huge finale that goes on for 13 hours. Yeah, but no, it's not going to happen. So that's where I'm disappointed now. That's the only thing that's disappointing me about this show now.
Yeah.
On that note, I think we could go ahead and wrap up. Emily, where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at M Mighty Sophia. That's EM, the word mighty, SOFIA. I am currently reviewing both Game of Thrones and Preacher on there. Now I'm bringing some other shows into the lineup, of course. I've started iZombie. Both Diego and I might be watching The Leftovers, so that could be a thing that we talk about in this, as well as me doing reviews on my channel. But lots of dramas, lots of dark, gritty stuff. It's a lot of fun. So you can also find me on Facebook and Twitter at MMightySophia, and those are currently my main hubs of activity. So, yeah.
And you can find me, of course, on here, on the Waffle Press YouTube, Waffle Press Twitter, my Twitter at DagoWaffles. AudienceEverywhere.net. I forgot. Yes, AudienceEverywhere.net, where I wrote something for Muhammad Ali. We did this. I'm very proud of this. We had 3 of us write pieces on 3 biographical pictures of Muhammad Ali, documentaries, yada yada, and we tried our best to honor the champ. So I'm very proud of that. Go ahead and check that out, and like this video, subscribe if you liked it. If you didn't like it, that's all right. Like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something to do. Like again, Warcraft review up with this, so keep an eye out for that, or maybe we'll just put a link down below in the doobly-doo. Yes, all links to everything actually down below, so it's convenient for you and your faces. Thanks for watching, guys. We have been professionally unprofessional.